Welcome to this PPP Loan Forgiveness Application video on how to track your PPP loan expenses. So if you saw my other video with the template on how to track your PPP loan expenses, I've done an updated template here, an updated spreadsheet that you can download. Again, the download link is in the description, and I've also pinned it in the first comment. There is no password on this template, so you can change whatever you want to change. But I did this update because late yesterday, the SBA, I want to show you this here, the SBA came out with their PPP Loan Forgiveness Application, okay? I also have a download link in the description for this loan forgiveness application. And if you look at it, now, unfortunately, you know, these rules for these PPP loans are changing constantly. There's updates, you know, there's a lot to be paying attention to here. And so if you look at, you know, download this application, you're going to see that this thing is 11 pages long. It is pretty cumbersome and very long. Now, the template that I have put together here updates the previous template with some clarifications that were in this loan forgiveness application. All right, so let me go back over to the template here, and I want to show you the updates that I did. I think it's going to make it a lot easier and a little bit more clear. There's still a number of questions out there of what's included, what's not included, you know, how do you do certain things. So there were some questions that were answered that I'm going to go through here in just a second. And there were some things that are still questionable, okay? All right, so first things first, when you go and download this, you're going to see I put a couple of instructions up here. All this existing data in the yellow cells is just for example purposes. You can delete it. All right. And then you want to enter data in the yellow highlighted cells only. And the reason for that is there are formulas in these other cells and they calculate automatically. All right. So let's go through this a little bit. So you're going to, you know, put in your company name. That's pretty obvious. You're going to put in the PPP loan amount. You're going to put in the date received the PPP money. Okay. So originally there was some confusion on, was this the loan date when you got the money? And they did clarify this in the loan forgiveness application that it is the date you got the money. So the day the money was put in your bank account is the date you got it. That is the date that you start counting the 8 weeks. Now, they gave an example in the loan forgiveness application of what that 8-week date is. So in my previous template, this was calculating at 56 days, all right? But they clarified that it's only 55 days, all right? So you include the date you got the money as one of the days. So I updated that here. Now, another big update that is new is this right here, this alternate payroll covered period, okay? And you can elect this as a business owner. So what this means is that if you have a biweekly or more frequent payroll schedule, you can elect to calculate your payroll costs using the 56-day period that begins on the first day of the first pay period following the date you got your PPP loan money, okay? So what that means is if you got your PPP loan money on April 10th and the first day of your first payroll period was April 12th, you can use April 12th as the start date for that 8-week period. All right, so you can elect this. So basically what that means is you're not going to miss out on the front end of some payrolls, you know, with some overlap there. All right, so what I did was I created a drop-down box here that you can choose yes or no. If you choose yes, all right, you want to put in a date here for the first day of the first pay period after you got your PPP money, and it will calculate your alternative 8-week date, all right? So instead of that original one, you use this one. Now, if you choose no, all right, it's just going to put an NA in here. And if you do choose yes and you don't put a date in here, it's going to give you some weird, odd 1900 date. All right, so if you choose yes, you need to put a date in here. So let's say that it was, you know, 05/05/20. All right, so it's going to recalculate your day here to 6/29. All right, so very important, so you can elect this. All right, now another very important update I did down here. You're going to see under gross wages, all right, there are no boxes for weeks 1 through 8. There's just a total. All right, and I say here, enter below. So what I did is I said, okay, they clarified the calculation for this $100,000 per year cap. Now, in the previous template, it was calculating this based on a per pay period cap. So depending on the number of pay periods you had a certain cap per individual employee. And you had to go in and figure out what is the reduction for the amount. And it was a little bit confusing. So what I did down here is I said, all right, you're going to list out all your employees. And I just put 25. If you want to add some rows, you can go in here and you can right click, click add. You just need to make sure you copy this formula down, and that's fine. You can put in the employees' names if you want to. And what you're going to do is for each pay run, I've put 8 of them in here, assuming that you have the maximum like once a week payroll. But for each pay run, and I put a description up here, you're going to put in the gross amount of the payroll. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to reduce it. It could be $50,000, and you're going to put it in for every single pay run. All right. So what it does is the SBA clarified that you're not really looking at it per pay run, but you're looking at the total. All right. So the total compensation that you can, and this is wages, that you can pay somebody over this 8-week period is $15,384.62. And this is because this is 8/52 of $100,000. All right. So what I've done is I've put this formula. If you look at this formula up here, this caps this at $15,384.62. So it doesn't matter if I want to go in here and I put in 6,000, it's going to stay at $15,384. 50,000 or 500,000, $15,384.62. All right. Now, if it's below that, you can see that it just goes to the 8,000. But if I add in, let's say I add in another $20,000 here, it's going to cap it at $15,384.62. All right. So this way you are not going to exceed the cap that the SBA has put in place. Very, very important. All right. Now, this total of all these wages down here is going to carry up to this total here. It's going to add it in with your 401k, your health benefits, your state unemployment taxes, total that up and put that up here. Now, a clarification up here, these percentages are only based on what you have spent to date. All right. You'll see over here, you still have money to spend, but this is just based on what you've spent to date. The assumption in this is that you are going to spend all your money. All right. Now, one important thing that the SBA clarified in this loan forgiveness application is, and I'm just going to kind of read this here, that eligible payroll costs include payroll costs paid and incurred during the 8-week covered period. Now, this is very important because there was a lot of confusion on, is this cash basis? Is this accrual basis? Now, this somewhat answers this because all they say is that, payroll costs paid is pretty straightforward. I mean, you have checks that you give to employees or ACH, whatever, that money's paid. That's pretty straightforward. Now, incurred, that is if it has, if they have earned that payroll, but it hasn't been paid, which is typically an accrual basis. Now, all that they say about it, though, is that payroll costs are considered incurred on the day that the employee's pay is earned. Payroll costs incurred but not paid during the borrower's last pay period of their 8-week period are eligible for forgiveness if paid on or before the next regular payroll date. All right, so they do not address anything that is earned before the 8-week period. So my guess is that, if it's earned before and paid right at the beginning of your 8-week period, it still may not qualify. I'm not sure, it's not clear, but they do at least address this last pay run during your 8-week period. If it's not paid, but it has been earned and it's paid by the next pay run date or before, you can still include it. All right, so that's good news because a lot of people were looking at adjusting their pay schedules. All right, okay, so go ahead and use this. Now, this, of course, only addresses tracking the money you spend so that you can project out to make sure that you're spending the money in the right places and you're including the right expenses. Now, within this loan forgiveness application, there are 2 other components. There are the FTE component, which is really crazy. And then there is the 25% reduction in an individual's pay. All right, so I will be working on some templates for those, but for the time being, this is going to help you track your expenses. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to leave a comment, leave a question below. I will answer it to the best of my ability. So I do apologize. We have another template for this, but again, these rules are constantly changing. Hope you enjoy, and I will talk to you soon.